So just a background, here's where it started, right? We go lockdown, we start doing the podcasts and stuff, we start having conversations with like really elite coaches, and I start thinking, and I start kind of reflecting on the fact that I've been teaching acceleration a certain way for whatever, 5, 6, 7 years. And every time I went to teach it to an elite athlete, a Raheem Mostert, a Ryan Rua, like some of these guys who have been playing professional football, professional baseball, sports at a high level, I felt so stupid coaching them acceleration, right? Because it just didn't make sense to me to like lean against a wall, to cue the high knees, to do all the stuff that we've been doing. It just didn't make sense. So when I was coaching it, I felt like I wasn't coaching it very well, and I wasn't doing the best for them that I could do. So I kind of had to take some steps back and look at what it was that I was coaching that I was confident with in acceleration, right? So it was taking things out on the field, being able to do that. And it didn't have anything to do with the wall. So I knew that there was stuff at the wall. We know as coaches there's stuff going on at the wall that can be helpful. But it wasn't coached from me to be able to translate very well on the field, right? So I reflected for months on it. We talked about it on multiple different podcasts. We tried to figure out what's best for the athlete when it comes to coaching him on the wall, right? So we have new drills, new techniques, new cues for acceleration where we can take it from the wall, where it's things that I feel comfortable doing it with elite athletes, right? The top level, the top 1%ers, right? Doing it on the wall, being able for them to feel it on the wall, be able to take it out and do it on the turf, all right? Be able to do it in their games, wherever they're at. So this is kind of a way of me saying, like, you know, the always evolving athlete and coach. Like, obviously, we as coaches understand that we need to evolve and get better in everything we do, just as much as we demand the athletes to do that as well, right? So just kind of a different take on acceleration than I imagine we've seen before. So just here, obviously the definition, capacity to gain speed within a short amount of time. So I look at what is the position that we can put an athlete in to be able to have the capacity to gain speed within a short amount of time, right? So first thing I think you got to do is look at actually what elite acceleration looks like, right? So this is an elite accelerator. You'll see another couple clips of just elite, like top level acceleration. I think that's something that we can all agree on when watching these. Olympic bobsledder there. Obviously a sprinter. First one might have been Julio Jones, you know, since he cut his hair. Usain Bolt, right? Like some of the most elite guys. Tyreek Hill, fastest player in the NFL. Second fastest player in the NFL. Excuse me. First fastest player in the NFL this year. So what they're saying on that clip, and I don't believe we can hear it, but he's saying that this is the fastest that's ever been recorded on a football field since they started using the technology they use now, right? So that's Raheem, obviously, went like 22 miles an hour or something on a football field. Fastest ever been done, right? So I look at how we've been coaching it, and I look at that, and I had zero confidence in coaching that guy how to accelerate, right? So here's what we say it looks like. Shout out to Eric, right? Stevie said it a couple times, dude, it just comes up and you don't want it to come up. Like, I tried to look around Eric, but I found him here. So this is what we've all been taught, right? The power line. So we're looking at like this upright body angle, high knee drive, shin angle, ankle position, you know, all that stuff. And then our other buddy here to the right. So this is what we say it looks like. In reality, we just watched a clip of like a very, very elite Olympic level accelerator. And this is what he looks like. So, you know, you look at books, you look online, you look at kind of whatever source you're going for, you'll find these pictures and you'll find that position, right? So like that's what everybody wants to talk about, but really these are what the elite guys are doing, right? These are, I use guys, these are what the elite athletes look like when they accelerate, right? So what's the difference there, right? So the drills that I'm going to show you over the next couple clips are to try to get our athletes in these positions, all right? You see here's our boy, maybe Julio, Tyreek Hill, here's the sprinter we just watched come out of the blocks, right? All these guys are accelerating at a super elite level. So we're going to talk about how to get our athletes in that position. Okay, so why and how do we cue it? So we go back to the power line here, and then we go back to a picture of the athlete that we just saw accelerating, right? So you look at upright angle versus a falling forward angle, right? Accelerating is just being able to fall forward faster than anybody else, right? We know as soon as you're standing up, you're at the top speed, so we want to look at that angle when we're accelerating. All right, so upright angle compared to a falling forward angle.
You get them, just let them in.
Okay. Power line compared to a, I don't know, squiggly line, right? We can table that name. It can be whatever that line wants to be, right? It's kind of like an S curve, right? But it's definitely not a straight line. You see the shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, right? We see that angle that was drawn on here. Okay, so power line versus squiggly line. Eyes forward versus eyes down. We see the athlete's eyes are down, right? We'll be coaching on the wall. I talk about the corner of the wall and the turf they're meeting instead of looking forward, right? Because we understand coming out of a sprint, just like this picture, we don't want to shoot our eyes straight up, right? Because then we stand up, right? We understand that as coaches. Our athletes understand that. We don't tell them to shoot their eyes up, but yet in acceleration, we coach the eyes to be forward, right? So again, those two things don't make a ton of sense to me. High knee drive compared to a forward knee, okay? High knee is understandable at times. I don't think it relays very well to acceleration because we're trying to get a lot of reps in when we're accelerating, and I think cueing an athlete to get a high knee takes too long. Their knee comes up, then their leg comes back down and strikes, and their heel comes up, then their knee comes up, and that takes way too long. And when you're trying to accelerate, I don't believe high knee is the right cue. I believe forward knee is what we're looking for. And again, we'll see those as we go through a couple more clips. Straight back knee. I know we've had a triple extension conversation before that I missed. I don't think a straight back knee is the best way to coach acceleration. I think you might get into triple extension once coming out of blocks or coming out of a 40 start, but outside of that, I've yet to see somebody who's very fast and accelerating get into a triple extension, just like here on the picture, as we have kind of coached athletes to do. Again, I just, from watching people do it out here, I haven't seen triple extension besides maybe that first step, which our boy coming out of the block here gets into, but we can talk about that again later. So braced core, another one. I don't think the core strength of an athlete is so much an issue as much as ankle stability and ankle stiffness is in an athlete accelerating. Everybody seems to be having no problem with their hands on a wall, being able to sit up against it, right? So I don't think it's a core problem. I think it's an ankle problem. Again, another thing that we'll look at some clips moving forward. And also I like, we see this number 3 there, it says shin angle, right? I like matching shins, and I think we've all kind of cued that before in that acceleration position. So again, we see the matching shins here, much lower angle than it is in the kind of upright picture to the left there. All right, so how do we get there? We've kind of figured out ways to get there from top to bottom and to bottom to the top, right? Another cool thing that as coaches, we get an opportunity to talk more and cue more from different positions. Instead of just sitting here standing on a wall, we can now cue how to get to the wall from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top, right? So the cues that I've been using that seem to work well is tall, compress, and fall. Tall, sink, fall is something also we've used. But these are the positions we're getting into per each cue, right? So tall, obviously we're trying to get ourselves into that extended position where we're standing up nice and tall. Compress, sink, I just want the athlete to think that they're kind of loading a spring, right? Getting ready to let that thing go and explode out. And then fall is just like it sounds, right? We want to teach falling for accelerating because that's what that is falling forward, right? It's not standing up. So I think just rewiring them to think fall when they get into the wall will then get them into this, again, squiggly line position, this S-line position, kind of whatever we want to call it. And when we sink, soft knees, heels off the ground, right? So a little bit of room. I still like the cue, sliding a card underneath your heel. I think that makes sense here, just with soft knees so we can fall on the wall into this position, right? Once we get here, we can then reverse it now and go from the bottom to the top, right? You'll see we do these kind of pop-ups, these get-ups. But it's the same idea. We're looking for the same thing. This just gives us an opportunity as coaches to be able to coach it a different way. So how do we get there from the bottom to the top, right? You'll start with our feet next to each other, knees on the ground, shoulders right about over the knees. It takes a certain level of athleticism to be able to get up to the wall to get in this position, and we'll do these a little bit when we go out onto the wall. But again, you see these positions, as they pop up, they will naturally get into that acceleration position we talked about. I didn't coach these kids to make sure that they had those body angles. This is just how it happened, right? So that happens naturally. Then when they land on the wall, they're able to drive that knee up and then get back into this kind of newer acceleration position here that's on the bottom right. So here's a video of what it looks like, right? Again, the cues are just tall, sink, and fall, and then now they're getting to the point where they'll fall against the wall, drive their right knee up, and then the cue is knees forward instead of high knees. Right, so you'll see little Liam here do the same thing. He did it from the bottom to the top. He pops up, his hands land, his knee comes up. Right, some of the baseball bros, I really like looking at these ankles here. and you can see what we're talking about when we talk about stiff ankles, right? Really no movement through there. They're not, again, an extension because I want them driving into the ground, pushing some force into there, and this is a really good clip of that forward knee eyes down there, right, with some band assistance on the head, right? So just a couple different ways to get into that position where we're on the wall, right? So once we come off the wall there, we've got drills to be able to take what we felt on the wall to see what we can feel out on the turf, right? And these, again, just through conversations where you say, does this feel right? Is this what you think it feels like to accelerate? There's a lot more yeses than how it originally was, standing up and then trying to take it and matching those two things up. It was really hard to kind of make those same positions feel right to the athlete. And this is how we've kind of got those conversations, and these are the positions that we've worked into in those falling forward starts. So again, we call it kind of that chair start, right? Just like we talked about when you compress in that first position, you'll see the heels will be off the ground, knees will be slightly bent here, falling forward, and again, we've got those kind of squiggly lines here. All right, so first drill, falling forward start. You'll see here, fastest guy in the NFL, he'll do that. All right, so he's got a T-bow board because he doesn't have shoes on, right? So it's going to help him push into the ground. Look at the forward knees, right? And look at the fall, and look how he stays in that nice crouch position as he accelerates here, right? We don't see the knees going up until he stands up, then his knees get above the hip. But for the entire rep before that, his knees are forward, his shins are matching, and his eyes are down, right? So there's Raheem. Next drill, just huge, big cheat code alert, right? So it's like anybody used to play Grand Theft Auto, right? You've got unlimited ammo, and then all of a sudden you start like wrecking shit around there. This is what this is, right? This is one of those cheat codes. How can we as coaches give the athlete the feeling that they are making progress right away, right? By going through these drills. This is how we've decided to do it, right? With kind of these cheat codes. And this is one of a couple of them.